Hello, fellow duelists. This is Shadow of the Moon, and today we're going to do another deck profile of Dolphies, which is going to be the Dark World deck profile. So, this is part of the spooky deck profile season in October. I hope you have been enjoying it so far. I actually know I have. This has been a lot of fun uploading these deck profiles, just kind of showcasing different decks that we have other than the same old ones that I usually just show. So this is a really fun deck because this is all about discarding your hand and then summoning the big fusion monster that came out in the new structure deck, well, near new structure deck, which can actually have the effect, which is an Omni Negate, and actually discards your opponent's cards using it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and straight on into the deck profile. So 3 copies of Grapha. When this card can destroy a card on the field. If a monster gets sent back to the hand, you'd be able to special summon this card because this card can be discarded. So it's really, really good for the deck. And then you have two Sylvas, two Sylvas, 2 gold of the Dark World. Obviously, you'll need 2 of these. You could run, if you wanted to make it easier, you could run 1 each, or like 1 of the other one and then 2 of the other one. And then you have 3 Snow, which is your main searcher of the deck. 3 Snow of the Dark World. You have Beige, which gets special summon when it gets discarded. Really good card for this deck. And then you have Genta, Gateman of Dark World. Really good card as well with the deck. Let me go ahead and read this. You can special summon Genta of the Dark World once per turn. You can discard this card from the graveyard. Add 1 of the Gates of Dark World. So this searches the Gates of Dark World by discarding the card from your deck to your hand, or from your hand to the graveyard. And then you have Brown, 2 Brown of Huntsman of the Dark World, which allows you to draw 2 cards when it gets discarded by your opponent's card effect. And then we have Pearl, Hermit of Dark World, which, let me go ahead and read this guy because I actually don't know. This card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect. You can target 1 Dark World monster in your graveyard, accept it, special summon it to either field. Then if this card was discarded from your hand by your opponent's card, you can special summon it to either field. 1 of your fiend monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, you can only use this effect of permanent once per turn. So obviously you want to be able to have your opponent discard it. And then we're going to be playing with 1 Bigfoot and then 3 Mothman. So we're going to have 1 Bigfoot and 3 Mothman. The danger cards work really great with this deck because it allows you to discard random stuff. Also, it helps you discard your own Dark World monsters, so because you want to be able to have these discarded. And then kind of gives you more of an advantage. So that's going to be it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells and traps and move this down just a little bit. 3 Gates of Dark World. These are great because this is your field spell. You can banish a card to discard a card from the graveyard, and then discard a card to the graveyard, and then draw a card. So obviously works tremendously. 3 Dark Corridors. Great way to search Dark World monsters. Really, really glad I was able to even get these. I remember when these were actually expensive for no reason. And then 2 Dark World Ascensions. No, 3 Dark World Ascensions. This essentially allows you, no pun intended, to be able to fusion summon for the Fusion Grapha, which is a great card. 3 Hand Destructions makes it to where you and your opponent have to discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. And then we're going to be playing 1 Hand Destruction because there's only 1 Hand Destruction is allowed in the game. It is limited to 1. And then we've got 1 Forbidden Droplet. She actually just likes to be able to have 1 in here because it's, it's a really good hand trap and works really well with this deck as well because you are discarding cards. And then you have your 2 Omni Negates, which is your Dark World Punishment. So if you have a Dark World monster, this is a great way to kind of negate your opponent's card effect and it actually gives you a lot of advantage. So that's going to be it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. So obviously she's going to be playing 3 of the Fusion Grapha. This card is the boss monster that came out in the structure deck. This is a great card to be able to use on your opponent because your opponent essentially cannot really respond to it in a way, and it also makes it to where they have to discard a card instead of activating that effect. So say you play Raigeki or Hupri's Feather Duster, or you play anything, you can make this to where it turns it into your opponent must discard a card. And then you have Harbinger, and you have your Photon Lord, which is for your Omni, which is for like a semi-Omni Negate and a Monster Negate, which works great. You have your Digress the Time Lord, it lets you draw 2 cards. And then for the links, you have Access Code Talker, you have Skyuja Skull Dread, You have Underworld Goddess. This is a great way to kind of out your opponent's indestructible monsters if they can't be destroyed. You have Mudcracker. You have Barricading Blocker for your field spell and the continuous spell. And then you have, obviously, IP Masquerena with Cerberus, Unicorn, and Griffin, which works really good with this deck because it kind of makes it to where you can make this on your opponent's turn, and you can either make Unicorn, Phoenix, or Nightmare Cerberus, which kind of stops your opponent from doing anything too crazy. All right, so that's going to be it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, I will be turning the comments off for this deck as per Dolphy's request, but you can still see the deck. You can still see what we have in there, and obviously if you have any suggestions, you can always, you have any suggestions, you can always look online for strategies and different ideas. She's very happy with this deck, so, and I think it's actually a lot of fun to play against, because it's, you never know, how hard the discarding is going to go. And obviously when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you need to be able to have cards in your hand, and if you can't and you keep drawing hands, it kind of depletes what you have. That's probably why card destruction is only limited to 1, because having 3 in a deck would be crazy. But all right, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you are enjoying the spooky season, and with that, I'll see y'all next time. Later.